Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'm going to be reviewing the CJRB Pyrite, and you will have to deal with all of the rock puns because there's a few gems among the terrible ones. So power through those close-ups and we'll get started. First, I wanted to mention this branded name tag that my boyfriend got me for the holidays. It's made by a company called Talon tool, and it was a custom piece that they both worked on, and it looks absolutely amazing. And I'm really floored by how cool the machining can get, especially when it comes to detailed logos. So if you're looking for a cool custom piece, definitely go check out this guy's Instagram and his Etsy. I will definitely put the link to that below. CJRB is the designer of this knife, and it is a subsidiary of Artisan Cutlery, and they focus more on budget-friendly knives. This is a folding knife that features a button lock. However, there are thumb studs on both sides of the blade, so you can also deploy it with your thumb or your middle finger. To close the knife, you simply press the button to disengage the lock. This makes it easy to open and close with one hand if you're coordinated. The blade runs on ceramic ball bearings, so opening and closing the knife is very smooth. The one thing that I wanted to point out is this stop pin. When my boyfriend first got this knife, I was weirded out by how he was closing it. For a while, I thought the blade was just hitting the inside of the handle, and that it was going to hurt the blade over time. You could say I was petrified. But then he explained the stop pin. On the top, near the pivot, is a section on the blade that has a bit more metal where the blade cannot go any further. I'm still not a huge fan of the sound, but that's okay. I like what I like. The blade shape is a drop point, where the spine of the blade has a gentle curve down to meet the tip. Drop point blades are good for piercing due to having a nice pointy tip, but they are also good for slicing due to having a curved belly. This blade also has a high flat grind and a thin blade stock, which makes it even better for slicing. The blade length is about 3.11 inches with an overall length of 7.3. The blade material is a newer budget steel called AR RPM9. This steel is proprietary to Artisan Cutlery and CJRB, and it's the first powder-formed steel that is available in a budget price range. I put a link to that metal breakdown below if you're interested. Additionally, the handle material here is also steel, and I'm pretty sure it's just a standard stainless steel and nothing fancy. Normally, knives with a lot of the steel handles tend to be heavy, but this one is really light. That is due to the inside of the handle having a lot of milled out pieces that you can see here. As a note, there are also a few other versions of this knife that have G10 scales. I don't have one to currently compare, but it is likely to be a bit lighter than the steel-handled versions, at least from what I can gather from the weight listings on each of the knife pages. This knife has a deep carry pocket clip, and it's reversible, which is nice. Inclusivity is nice. The button locking mechanism is easy to manipulate for both righties and lefties as well. As I mentioned earlier, this is a budget knife, so the price sits right around $50. It's not made of the most high-end, ultra-premium materials, but it is a really nice knife for the price. There's no need to take budget-friendly knives for granted. I like the look of this. And even though this is not my knife, I think that it has some really nice features here. The knife is light, it's fun to fidget with, and I think that works really for all knives that run on ball bearings. If this was on washers, it would really have a completely different feel. So I'm gonna be honest here. I really don't like button lock style knives. I'm not entirely sure why. It might just be that I haven't had as much experience with them, but right now I prefer knives that open a bit more deliberately and lock with either a frame or liner lock. The other thing that usually bothers me with button locking knives is the whole aesthetic. I see this all too often with button locking knives where the pivot and the button are so close to each other it looks unbalanced. But that's what I get for liking symmetry. For this knife, my boyfriend didn't do a paracord lanyard like we've done on most of the knives I've reviewed so far. This lanyard is actually a strip of leather that we bought from a local craft store to make the lanyard for actually the Boker Nesme Pro. And you can see the video of that review here somewhere, one of these two places. The bead is a titanium bead he actually got on Amazon that came in a 2-pack for like $10. It's not a fancy bead since this knife is a more budget-friendly knife, but I think he did a really good job at elevating the overall look. It looks and feels fancy. My nails today too are just some press-ons I found at Marshall's, and the nice thing that I found out that about press-ons is that most of them are actually reusable once you clean and sanitize them, which is good for people like me who like to recycle. So that's it. That's all I got. As always, I try to end with something inspirational, something nice, because everything kind of continues to be bananas. So my cheat code for you today is that you can grow more scallions by putting the roots in a glass of water. It's super easy, and I swear by this, especially because everything I touch dies. If you know, you know. And if it's your first time here, please take a moment to subscribe and give me a follow on Instagram. The Robot Overlords appreciate it. Or if you can share my channel with one of your friends, I would also appreciate that too. So thank you everyone for taking the time and making it to the end. My self-esteem thanks you. But they're also good for slicing, doing